Yeah, I think the underlying thing you're calling out, which is really important for a founder, is where are you on your fear and anxiety curve and how are you channeling it? That's the underlying thing we're really talking about here. It is really hard to misplan to either a board or to yourself or to your team for a couple of months or a couple of quarters in a row and not just want a couple of small wins to get a little bit of momentum back. It is a natural indication. And I'm not saying that Fareed, I don't know that everything should be high risk, but
No.
let's get into the part of our conversation where we build a 2x2 matrix, which is like if you imagine imagine
You're
an
speaking
x-y-axis.
Brian's language now.
He already mentioned an anxiety
x-y-axis.
curve. I've got one of those frameworks as
true.
well. Yeah.
Hey, it's anxiety and a curve. It's perfect for you, Brian.
It's like, imagine an XY axis where you have low risk bets and high risk bets, and then you have low reward bets and high reward bets.
Yeah.
Right. And like the issue is that obviously nobody wants to do anything in the high risk, low reward category. Most startups do a very good job of avoiding that. The low risk, low reward category is basically the default for founders. That is where the natural organization, especially when anxious,
that's where the gravity is in the org. 100%.
That is the
100%.
thing you are fighting against. And like one of the practices I do with the teams I work with every once in a while is just, if you're trying to hit the reset button, I've gotten much simpler in the way that I try to have a conversation about product and what you're doing. You just say, hey, I'm going to put these 4 buckets up on a whiteboard somewhere. Take the things you want to do next year. I have no value judgment. You know this product so much better than me. You know your company so much better than me. You know your customer so much better than me. Just take the 20 things you're going to build next and put them in these 4 categories. And that's not, we're not going to do expected outcomes here. I'm not telling you how much DAU revenue it's going to drive. We're not building some, just tell me whether you think it's a high risk, high reward bet or whether it's a low reward, low risk bet. And like almost all of the time, 95% of the bets end up in the bottom left category. And it's a great way to reset a conversation and say, listen, when things are going worse, you take more upper right bets. Not all, but if it's going worse, then you need to up your risk threshold. And it's a great way of communicating. Usually founders get it faster, frankly, than the rest of the board members. Then you need another framework to talk to the rest of the board to make them okay, because you also have a bunch of other contingency people to manage as well. But that's where you have to start, which is how much risk should this company be making right now.
Teams is hard too. There's been multiple times in Reforge where I have been in that upper right-hand quadrant personally, but explaining it to all the constituents around me, it's just, it's a lot of activation energy, and it's part of the job, but certainly I wish there was like a easy button, right, to move everybody there.
Ryan, I just want to dovetail that. This is where we can loop all the way back to large AUM overfunding of companies leads to the problem that you talked about, Brian, because a founder can get there very quickly in realizing that the bet that needs to be made. The problem is that XYZ massive firm overstuffed this company with a couple dozen extra $1 million than they needed. So they built the org appropriately. And now you have a bunch of mid-level execs that are acting just like the mid-level VC people we just talked about earlier, who are very they don't want to take the risk.
Yeah.
They want to put a couple good numbers on the board again so they don't get fired. Whereas you're thinking long-term about how to make an impact with this company you're building. And so I think founders get there faster. I mean, this is why founder-led companies, I think, still have that mandate to take that level of risk that's needed, that it's so important.